Have you ever stopped to consider why certain things repeat themselves in your family? Why the same kind of problem, the same pain, the same difficulty seems to haunt generation after generation? It's a heavy question, isn't it? One that resonates deeply within the soul. Maybe it's poverty that never seems to leave your bloodline. Maybe it's relationships that always end badly. Perhaps it's a disease that strikes at the same age, or depression that visits each generation like a grim reaper. And you feel it in your body, don't you? You feel like you're carrying something that isn't yours, something that came before you, something bigger than you can control, a weight on your soul, a silent burden. I know what that feels like, because I've seen thousands of people trapped in this invisible trap, caught in patterns they didn't choose, living lives that seem pre-programmed for suffering. But today you're going to discover something that Kathryn Kuhlman guarded as her most powerful secret, something she called the Bloodline Breaker, the protocol that breaks generational curses in 36 hours. And this isn't superstition. It's not folklore. It's a spiritual science she developed after years of studying family lineages and their invisible prisons. Have you ever noticed how some families seem blessed? How everything seems to work out for them, as if there's an invisible force working in their favor? And how other families seem cursed, as if there's an invisible force working against them, as if no matter what they do, they always end up in the same place. Kathryn Kuhlman discovered that this isn't coincidence. She discovered that there are spiritual forces that attach themselves to family lines, forces that feed on repetitive suffering. And she discovered how to break those forces, how to cut those invisible cords, how to liberate an entire family from patterns that have repeated for generations. Do you know what's even more impressive? It works in 36 hours, not weeks, not months. 36 specific hours that can change the destiny of an entire lineage. And you'll feel the difference immediately. You'll feel it when the current breaks. You'll feel it when the ancestral weight lifts from your shoulders. You'll feel it when you're finally free. But first, you need to understand how these curses form, how they enter a family, how they strengthen themselves through generations. Because it's not about sin. It's not about punishment. It's about energy. It's about energetic patterns that crystallize in a family line. Imagine that your family is like a tree, and that each generation is a branch of that tree. If the root is contaminated, all the branches become diseased. But when you cut the contaminated root, when you cleanse the source, the entire tree recovers. The entire lineage is liberated. And that's exactly what Kathryn Kuhlman's protocol does. It goes to the root. It cleanses the source. It liberates the entire lineage. I've seen this happen hundreds of times. Entire families who changed after one person had the courage to break the pattern. Lineages that transformed after someone applied the protocol. And the most incredible part is that it doesn't just affect you. It affects your parents. It affects your children. It affects all the members of your family, even if they don't know what you're doing. Because when you break a family curse, you're not just liberating yourself, you're liberating your entire lineage, past, present, and future. But there's a condition. You need to be willing to take responsibility. You need to be willing to be the one who breaks the cycle. You need to be willing to be the turning point for your family. And this isn't easy, because it means temporarily carrying the weight of the entire lineage. It means being the channel through which liberation will happen. But when you do this, when you have the courage to be that channel, that's when the true transformation happens. Kathryn Kuhlman discovered that there are 3 types of family curses, 3 patterns that repeat in trapped lineages. The first type is the curse of scarcity. When a family never manages to prosper, when there's always lack, when there's always financial struggle. The second type is the curse of relationships. When a family never manages to have healthy relationships, when there's always betrayal, when there's always abandonment. The third type is the curse of health. When a family always faces the same diseases, when there's always physical suffering, when there's always premature death, and there are families that carry all three types, families that are trapped in multiple curses, families that suffer in all areas of life, but regardless of how many curses a family carries, the protocol works. The bloodline breaker can break any pattern, no matter how long it has existed, and you'll know when it's working. You'll feel a lightness you've never felt before. You'll feel something release within you. You'll feel that you're finally free. Your family members will also feel it. Even without knowing what you did, they'll start making different decisions. They'll start having unexpected opportunities. They'll start breaking their own patterns. Because when you break a family curse, you're not just removing something negative. You're releasing the potential that has always existed in your lineage. You're allowing your family to be who they were always destined to be. You're removing the obstacles that prevented the manifestation of the true nature of your lineage. And that is powerful. That is transformative. That is liberating. But how do you know if your family is under a curse? How do you identify if there's something that needs to be broken? There are specific signs, patterns that repeat, evidence you can observe. First sign, repetition of problems. When the same type of problem appears in each generation. When you see the same mistakes being made repeatedly. Second sign, resistance to change. When you try to change, but always go back to the same place. When you feel that there's an invisible force pulling you back. Third sign, internal sabotage. When you're about to get something good, but something always goes wrong. When you feel like you're fighting against yourself. Fourth sign, energetic drain. When you feel tired for no reason. When you feel like you're carrying a weight that isn't yours. Fifth sign, disturbing dreams. When you have recurring nightmares. When you dream of ancestors you never knew. When you wake up more tired than when you went to sleep. If you recognize these signs, if you feel that your family is trapped in destructive patterns, then it's time to apply the protocol. It's time to be courageous. It's time to take responsibility. It's time to break the chains that bind your lineage. Because you weren't born to repeat the mistakes of your ancestors. You weren't born to live limited by the patterns of the past. You were born to be free. And that freedom is within your reach. It's 36 hours away. It's waiting for you to take that first step. Kathryn Kuhlman discovered that 36 hours is the exact time needed to break a generational curse. Less time isn't enough to cut all the cords. More time can create energetic confusion. It's as if 36 hours is the perfect period for a spiritual surgery, to precisely cut what needs to be cut, to heal what needs to be healed. And during these 36 hours, you'll follow a specific protocol. You'll use a specific psalm. You'll create specific conditions for liberation to occur. It's not complicated. It's not difficult. But it needs to be done exactly as she taught. Every detail matters. Every word has its function. Every moment has its purpose. And when you complete the 36 hours, that's when the chain breaks. That's when the curse breaks. That's when your family is finally free. You'll feel it physically. You'll feel a deep relief. You'll feel something heavy lift from you. You'll feel like you can finally breathe. And then you'll understand. You'll understand you weren't imagining things. You'll understand there really was something holding your family back. You'll understand you managed to break that pattern. Your family members will start to change too. They'll start making different decisions. They'll start having different results. They'll start living differently. Because when a generational curse is broken, the entire bloodline benefits. The entire family tree is liberated. The entire family gets a new chance. And you will be remembered as the one who changed everything. As the one who had the courage to break the pattern. As the one who liberated the family. But first, you need to understand which psalm Kathryn Kuhlman used to break generational curses. which protocol she developed over years of experience. And this psalm isn't obvious. It's not what you expect. It's a specific psalm that speaks directly to the forces that bind family lines. It's Psalm 79, a psalm of liberation, a psalm of breaking oppression, a psalm that cuts ancestral cords. But it's not just reciting Psalm 79. It's applying the complete protocol she developed. It's creating the specific conditions for liberation to happen. And this protocol has 7 mandatory steps. 7 steps that must be followed exactly as she taught. Because each step has its function. Each step serves a specific purpose. Each moment contributes to breaking the curse. And when you do everything right, when you follow every detail, that's when the magic happens. That's when spiritual science manifests. That's when the impossible becomes possible. Step 1. Ancestral mapping. You need to identify exactly what kind of curse your family carries. You need to map the patterns that repeat. You need to understand the specific nature of the prison, because each curse has its own personality. Each pattern has its own energy. Each prison has its own key. And when you specifically identify what's holding your family back, you can apply the protocol more precisely. You can direct the energy more effectively. Step 2. Preparing the environment. You need to create a sacred space, a place where you'll do the protocol, an environment that's clean of outside interference. It doesn't have to be a special place. It can be your bedroom. It can be the living room. It can be anywhere you feel connected to something greater. But it needs to be a place where you won't be interrupted, where you can completely focus, where you can connect with the force that will break the curse. Step 3. Ancestral connection. You need to connect with your bloodline. You need to feel the weight you're carrying. You need to take responsibility for being the breaking point. This isn't easy, because it means temporarily feeling all the pain of your family. It means momentarily carrying all the ancestral weight. But it's necessary, because you need to connect with what you want to break. You need to feel the curse to be able to cut it. Step 4. Reciting Psalm 79. This is where the real breaking happens, where you use the specific words to cut the ancestral cords, where you apply the spiritual force that will liberate your family. But it's not just any recitation. It's a specific recitation, with specific intentions, with specific visualizations. Each word needs to be pronounced with authority. Each verse needs to be declared with conviction. Each sentence needs to be spoken with the power of someone breaking a curse. Step 5. Visualizing the break. You need to see the curse being broken. You need to visualize the chains breaking. You need to feel the liberation happening. It's not just any visualization. It's a specific visualization, directed, focused on the result you want to achieve. Step 6. Sealing the liberation. After breaking the curse, you need to seal the liberation. You need to protect your family from new imprisonments. You need to ensure that the freedom is permanent. This is fundamental, because it's no use breaking a curse if you don't seal the break. It's no use liberating yourself if you don't protect the liberation. Step 7. Manifesting the new reality. You need to declare the new reality of your family. You need to establish the new patterns. You need to plant the seeds of the new bloodline. Because when you break a curse, you're not just removing something negative. You're creating space for something positive. You're allowing something new to be born. And when you complete all 7 steps, when you follow the entire protocol, that's when the true transformation happens. That's when your family is finally free. That's when the destructive patterns break. That's when a new story begins to be written. You'll feel it immediately. You'll feel a lightness you've never felt before. You'll feel that something fundamental has changed in your life. And in the coming days, you'll start to see the results. You'll see your family changing. You'll see opportunities arising. You'll see patterns breaking, because when a generational curse is broken, the entire reality changes. The entire family dynamic transforms. The entire bloodline gets a new chance. Now stop. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the weight you carry on your shoulders. Feel this inheritance you didn't choose. Because in the next few minutes, you'll learn exactly how to free yourself from it forever. What I'm going to teach you now isn't theory. It's not philosophy. It's the exact instructions that Kathryn Kuhlman used to break curses that had existed for decades, sometimes centuries. And you'll feel the difference from the very first moment. Have you ever wondered why certain struggles seem to repeat themselves within your family? Why the same problems, the same pain, the same difficulties haunt generation after generation? It's a weighty question, one that digs deep, deep into your soul. Maybe it's poverty that clings to your bloodline. Maybe it's relationships doomed to fail. Perhaps it's a disease that strikes at a certain age, or depression that descends like a shadow on each new generation. And you feel it, don't you? You feel like you're carrying a burden that isn't yours, something inherited, something beyond your control, a heavy weight, a silent legacy. This is a story about breaking free from those invisible chains, from those ancestral patterns that seem to dictate our lives. A story about the power of reclaiming your destiny from the very first word of this protocol. Because when you speak with true spiritual authority, the universe responds immediately. It's not about blind faith. It's about applying a spiritual science that has already liberated thousands of family bloodlines. It's about using a protocol tested in real-life situations. So let's get to what really matters. Let's get to the specific protocol that can liberate your family in 36 hours. The Bloodline Breaker Protocol. Complete instructions. First, you need to understand there's a specific time to begin. An energetic timing that multiplies the protocol's effectiveness. The best time is Friday night. Why Friday? Because it's the day cycles close, the day energies renew, the perfect day to break old patterns. And you must start at exactly 6 p.m., not approximately. Exactly 6 p.m., because that's when ancestral energy is most accessible. Step 1. Ancestral mapping. Before breaking the curse, you need to know exactly what you're breaking. You need to map the patterns repeating in your family. Take a sheet of paper, divide it into 3 columns. In the first column, write down all the problems repeating in your family. Diseases, addictions, poverty, bad relationships, premature deaths, everything you recognize as a pattern. In the second column, write how many generations back you can trace each problem. Did your father have it? Your grandfather? Your great-grandmother? In the third column, write how each problem specifically affects you, how it manifests in your life, how it limits you. This isn't just an exercise, it's an energetic mapping. It's a way to consciously connect with what needs to be broken. And as you write, you're taking responsibility. You're becoming conscious of what was once unconscious. You're preparing to be the breaking point. Step 2. Preparing the sacred space. Now you'll create the space where liberation will occur. An environment prepared for ancestral transformation. You'll need 7 white candles. Not 6, not 8. 7 specific white candles. Each candle represents a generation to be liberated. 3 generations past, 3 generations future, and 1 for you. You'll need a glass of salt water. The water represents purification. The salt represents protection. Together, they create a cleansed space for the breaking. You'll need a family photo. Any photo showing several family members will do. This photo will be the focal point of the liberation. And you'll need the paper where you mapped the patterns. This paper will be burned at the end of the protocol, symbolizing the end of destructive patterns. Arrange everything on a table. Place the 7 candles in a circle. Put the photo in the center. Place the glass of salt water in front of you. Put the paper beside you. Step 3. Ancestral connection. Now comes the most intense part. You will consciously connect with the ancestral weight you carry. You will temporarily take responsibility for the entire bloodline. Light the 7 candles, one by one. As you light each candle, say, I connect with my bloodline. I take responsibility for breaking the patterns that bind us. I am the turning point of my family. Then you'll sit in front of the table. Look at the family photo. Breathe deeply 3 times. On the first breath, feel the weight of the first preceding generation. Feel your parents' problems. On the second breath, feel the weight of the second preceding generation. Feel your grandparents' problems. On the third breath, feel the weight of the entire bloodline. Feel centuries of destructive patterns. And it will be heavy. It will be intense. You may even feel like crying. That's normal. That's necessary. You're connecting with something that has always been there. Step 4. Reciting Psalm 79. Now comes the moment of breaking. You will recite Psalm 79, but in a specific way, with authority, with intention, with the power of someone cutting ancestral chains. Hold the family photo in your hands. Look at it as you recite. Feel that you are speaking on behalf of the entire bloodline. Psalm 79. O God, the nations have invaded your inheritance. They have defiled your holy temple. They have laid Jerusalem in ruins. Pause. Visualize the negative forces that invaded your family being expelled. They have given the bodies of your servants as food to the birds of the air, the flesh of your saints to the beasts of the earth. Pause. Visualize all the destruction these forces caused in your lineage. They have shed their blood like water all around Jerusalem, and there was no one to bury them. Pause. Feel all the pain your family carried through the generations. We have become a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and derision to those around us. Pause. Acknowledge how your family has been humiliated, diminished, limited. How long, O Lord? Will you be angry forever? Will your jealous anger burn like fire? Pause. Declare that the time for liberation has come, that the time of imprisonment is over. Pour out your wrath on the nations that do not know you, and on the kingdoms that do not call on your name. Pause. Declare that the forces binding your family will be destroyed, for they have devoured Jacob and laid waste his dwelling place. Pause. Acknowledge all the damage done to your lineage. Do not remember against us the sins of our ancestors. May your compassion come quickly to meet us, for we are brought very low. Here is the crucial moment. Pause for 30 seconds. Feel that you are cutting the cords that bind your family to the mistakes of the past. Help us, O God of our salvation, for the glory of your name. Deliver us and forgive our sins, for your name's sake. Pause. Declare that your family is being liberated, that the patterns are being broken. Why should the nations say, where is their God? Let the avenging of the blood of your servants, which has been shed, be known among the nations in our sight. Pause. Declare that God's power is being manifested in the liberation of your family. Let the groaning of the prisoners come before you, according to the greatness of your power. Preserve those who are appointed to die. This is the verse of liberation. Speak with all the authority you can muster. Declare that your family is being liberated from ancestral imprisonment. Return to our neighbors sevenfold into their bosom the disgrace with which they have disgraced you, O Lord. Pause. Declare that everything stolen from your family will be restored sevenfold. Have you ever wondered why certain things repeat themselves in your family? Why the same problems, the same pain, the same struggles seem to haunt generation after generation? It's a profound question, one that digs deep into the heart. Maybe it's poverty that clings to your bloodline. Maybe it's relationships that always end in heartbreak. Perhaps it's a disease that strikes at the same age, or depression that visits like a relentless shadow. And you feel it, don't you? You feel like you're carrying a weight that isn't yours. Something inherited, something beyond your control, a heavy burden on your soul, a silent legacy. This is a story about breaking free from those invisible chains, from those ancestral patterns that seem to dictate our lives. It's a story about reclaiming your family's destiny. We, your people, the sheep of your pasture, will praise you forever. We will sing of your praise from generation to generation. This is the verse of the new bloodline. Declare that your family is now free, that future generations will live in liberty. Step 5. Visualizing the break. Now you will specifically visualize those chains breaking. You will see the curse being destroyed. Close your eyes. Hold the family photo in your hands. Visualize invisible chains emanating from each person in the photo. Chains connecting them to problematic ancestors. Chains binding them to destructive patterns. Now visualize these chains being cut, one by one. See each cut freeing a family member. See each break creating liberation. Visualize a golden light enveloping each person in the photo. A light representing protection. A light representing freedom. A light representing new life. And visualize this light expanding, reaching relatives not in the photo, reaching past generations, reaching future generations. See your entire family enveloped in this liberating light. See the entire bloodline being renewed. See a new destiny being created. Step 6. Sealing the liberation. Now you will seal the liberation. You will protect your family from new curses. You will ensure that this freedom is permanent. Take the glass of salt water. Sprinkle a few drops on the family photo. As you do this, declare out loud, I seal this liberation in the name of the Most High God. No negative force can attach itself to this bloodline anymore. This family is protected for all eternity. Repeat this 3 times. Each repetition strengthens the protection. Each declaration seals the liberation more deeply. And then take a sip of the salt water. You are internally sealing what you have declared externally. You are incorporating the protection. Step 7. Manifesting the new reality. Now comes the moment to establish your family's new reality, to plant the seeds of a new destiny. Take the paper where you mapped out the family problems. Look at it one last time. Acknowledge that these patterns now belong to the past, and then burn the paper in one of the candles. As it burns, say, these patterns no longer exist in my family. These problems have no more power over us. This bloodline is now free. Watch the paper turn to ashes. See the destructive patterns being consumed by the fire. See the past being transformed. And then declare the new reality. Declare your family's new destiny. My family is blessed. My bloodline is prosperous. My generations are healthy. My blood carries blessing, not a curse. Repeat this 7 times, one for each generation being transformed. And then extinguish the candles, one by one. Each candle that goes out marks the end of a generation of problems. Each flame that is extinguished symbolizes the end of a destructive pattern. What will happen? In the first 12 hours, you will feel a physical shift. You will feel a weight lifted from your shoulders. You will feel something unlock within you. In the next 24 hours, you will begin to have insights. You will understand things about your family that you never understood before. You will see connections that were previously hidden. And after 36 hours, you will begin to see changes in your family. Relatives will start making different decisions. Unexpected opportunities will arise. Not necessarily immediate, dramatic changes, but real changes, pattern breaks, openings of possibility, and you will know it worked. You will feel that something fundamental has changed. You will feel that your family is finally free. The spiritual science behind the protocol. Why does this work? Because generational curses are real. They are energetic patterns that crystallize in a bloodline through generations of repetition. Every time someone in the family repeats a destructive pattern, they strengthen the curse. Every time someone confirms a limitation, they fuel the prison. But when a person rises with spiritual authority and consciously breaks these patterns, the entire dynamic shifts. It's like breaking a magnet. When you break a magnet, it loses its ability to attract. When you break a curse, it loses its power to influence. And Kathryn Kuhlman understood this. She understood that a person with faith and determination can break patterns that affect hundreds of people. Signs that the curse has been broken. First sign, you will wake up different. You will feel a lightness you haven't felt in years. You will feel you can breathe deeply. Second sign, your family members will start to reach out to you. They will want to talk. They will be drawn to the new energy you carry. Third sign, unexpected opportunities will arise for you and for your family, as if doors that have been closed for years begin to open. Fourth sign, you will start making different decisions. You will feel bolder. You will feel freer to be who you truly are. Fifth sign, old patterns will begin to break naturally. Addictions will lose their grip. Limitations will disappear. Fears will dissolve. Protecting the liberation. After the curse is broken, you need to protect the liberation. You need to keep your family on the path of freedom. Every month, on the same day you did the protocol, repeat only Step 7. Declare your family's new reality again. Reinforce the protection. And whenever you notice that an old pattern is trying to return, use Psalm 79 again. Not the entire protocol, just the psalm with authority, because freedom needs to be maintained. Liberation needs to be protected. The new reality needs to be regularly confirmed. The impact on future generations. What you have done doesn't only affect the present, it affects the future. Your children will be born free from the patterns you have broken. Your grandchildren will grow up in a renewed bloodline. They will not carry the weight that you carried. They will not face the limitations that you faced. They will not repeat the mistakes that repeated themselves for generations. You changed your family's destiny. You altered the trajectory of your bloodline. You created a new legacy, and that is powerful. That is eternal. That is transformative. The responsibility of the liberator. But with this liberation comes a responsibility. You are now the guardian of your family's new reality. You need to live like someone who is free. You need to make decisions like someone who has broken curses. You need to be an example of the new bloodline. This doesn't mean being perfect. It means being conscious. It means being intentional. It means honoring the liberation you have achieved. And whenever a family member starts repeating old patterns, you have the authority to intervene. You have the right to remember that your family is now free. Kathryn Kuhlman's legacy. Kathryn Kuhlman discovered this protocol because she herself came from a family burdened by inherited patterns. She faced destructive cycles that repeated themselves for generations. And when she broke those patterns, when she liberated her own bloodline, she decided to teach others to do the same. She understood that every family has the potential for greatness, that every bloodline has a glorious destiny, that every family tree can bear abundant fruit. She just needed the right key, the right protocol, the right courage. And now, you have that key. Now you know that protocol. Now you can have that courage. The moment of final decision. You've come this far because it wasn't a coincidence. You heard this message because the time is right. You discovered this protocol because you were ready. Your family is waiting. Your future generations are waiting. Your new destiny is waiting. You can continue carrying the ancestral weight you didn't choose. Or you can have the courage to break patterns that have repeated for decades. You can continue to be a victim of generational curses. Or you can become the hero who liberates your bloodline. The choice is yours. But remember, You have nothing to lose. You're already suffering from these patterns. You're already limited by these curses. Now you have the chance to change that. Now you have the power to break that. Now you can free your family forever. The final promise. I can't promise you it will be easy. I can't promise you there won't be resistance. I can't promise you the change will be immediate. But I can promise you that something will change, that you will feel a difference, that your family will be impacted. Because when you apply a spiritual protocol with faith and determination, when you act with authority on behalf of your bloodline, the universe responds. And even if it's just a small initial change, even if it's just a small breaking of a pattern, it's already the beginning of a great transformation, because that's how curses are broken. Not all at once, but step by step, pattern by pattern, generation by generation. And you can be the beginning of this liberation. You can be the turning point for your family. You can be the one who changes everything. Start today. Start now. Begin this journey that can liberate generations. Because you weren't born to repeat the mistakes of the past. You were born to break curses. You were born to liberate bloodlines. You were born to be free. And that freedom is within your reach. It's 36 hours away. It's waiting for you to have the courage to begin. Have that courage. Assume that responsibility. Break those chains. Because on the other side of this breakthrough is the family you've always dreamed of, is the bloodline you've always deserved, is the destiny that has always been possible. And it all starts with you. It all starts with a decision. It all starts with 36 hours of courage. Begin now. Your family is waiting. Your future generations are counting on you. Be the hero of your bloodline. Be the liberator of your family. Be the curse breaker you were born to be. The ancestral clock stops ticking today. The chain breaks now. Freedom begins this moment. Begin.